Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Jag from Jaggy Sports. I just wanted to say rest in peace to John Madden, who was a pioneer and a legend in the NFL world who tragically lost his life unexpectedly at the age of 85. Moving on to the NBA, LeBron James was the youngest player yesterday to ever reach 36,000 points, and that leads to the discussion now, apparently, from from Marcus Spears.
What statement did LeBron make last night?
He continued a statement that I was already over the hill on. He's the greatest basketball player I've ever seen.
The
And
greatest.
I know that this argument goes all over the place, but to me personally, LeBron is the greatest. And what it really boils down to is not only how his game has evolved, but the journey it took to get there as an individual player. We talked about him not being able to shoot, so he went and became a better shooter. We talked about his post game. He went and became a better post player. He implemented things about his game, about his career, and he continued to get better at a time where he was already the best in the game. So the level of respect I have for the amount of work that he put in, even after being considered the best player in the NBA, the ability to go to franchise. See, this is the thing we miss about LeBron. We talk about super teams and we talk about how he created those, but those teams don't do much after he leaves. I don't think it's a coincidence. I just think it's LeBron James being a part of those rosters. So for me, as I'm 38 years old, and I know that the Jordan era, and I know people will fight tooth and nail for MJ. LeBron James is the best basketball player I've ever seen
That
in
is a
my life,
statement.
and I consider him to be the best basketball player ever.
Monica's not convinced.
Spears. Listen, Charlie, this argument
Man,
is
this not new.
absolutely agonizing. It's not new. It's
I
not
know,
new.
I
And it's
know.
absolutely agonizing. I personally am not ready to go there. Is LeBron James possibly the best athlete I've ever seen in a basketball uniform? Is he maybe one of the most important catalysts of time in terms of his ability to take championships with him? Yes, but I still think that in a sport that is still largely quantified by your ability to go and win the Larry O'Brien trophy, I'm not ready to see the throne from MJ just yet. I think you cannot have this conversation in a vacuum because you have to acknowledge the different eras that we're talking about. And yes, LeBron James is approaching
100%.
his 37th birthday, and that is an absolute feat in and of itself, the things that he's still able to do at this age. But I think it's still the rings for me. And that may be an antiquated argument for some, but I still think that is the tentpole in terms of how we are going to measure success. Because even take LeBron, Kobe, guys that got rings out of the conversation, our favorite dig, to Chuck is that he doesn't have one. And so I still think the rings hold the most importance to me in this conversation.
I see the subscription to that, Mon, is always my issue because you know the arguments, you know the Bill Russell arguments, you know the number of rings that guys have. So and look, to your point about generation, okay? My dad would tell you that Kareem the best basketball player he's ever seen.
This is true.
So like when we construct this whole argument or when we start talking about these guys, we are talking about the elite of the elite. We splitting hairs, we separating very microscopic things when it comes to these guys. The thing that gives me the push, and this is my argument. This is not to argue with anybody. The way you look at basketball, the way you deem the best you ever saw is based on your experience and what you like as a basketball player. When I
So you
look at
like Space Jam
LeBron,
too,
I look at a
Marcus.
guy. Yeah, I look at a guy that spans across all 5 spots on the floor, Mon.
Yeah.
I look at
Yeah.
a dude that
Yeah.
literally has promoted and produced the careers of guys that we wouldn't consider to be high-level NBA basketball players when it comes to contract situations and their ability to go deep in the playoff runs. And also, Mon, like a big thing for me, and other people may not equate this to him being the greatest ever. we all have to acknowledge that the dude was 18 when he became the face of a franchise and was
Yeah.
able to live
You're
up
right.
to that for his career. Like, I'm not talking about a few years. Oh, his career, he's still, to your point, he's still playing. Like, he lived up to that from day one. And Monica, everybody get mad at me for saying this, but we can all agree. You and I, or Perk or Charlie were not checking for the Cleveland Cavaliers until LeBron James went there. Nobody was. And
100%.
y'all know me. Y'all know I'm a huge basketball fan. So I have a lot more than just, obviously he's accomplished everything on the court. But I look at a lot of the intangible things as well. I'm not even talking about off the court, what he's done in the community. I saw this dude, man, you remember this. I saw this dude guard Derrick Rose in a series, and then followed that up by guarding Kevin Garnett in a series. Everybody brings up the Mavs. Everybody brings up he disappeared against the Mavs. Fine, it was a terrible series. You know he almost averaged a triple-double in his worst. That's the worst moment people can find in LeBron's career. And he almost averaged a triple-double in that playoff series. So I look at the dude and I think to myself, we've never seen it before. Never seen this kind of basketball player before, and maybe we don't know how to place him, but he stands alone.
Okay, so LeBron's already been playing for 19 years. He just said it this week. He doesn't see another 19 years left in his career. So he is, on the second part of his career. But Monica, still lots of time for him to accomplish what he needs to. So what would another championship on his resume do for you in terms of this argument?
I think we're there, Charlie. Like, then I have no argument. And again, I admit that the rings is a little bit antiquated. And maybe I'm a purist and I've watched too many Michael Jordan tapes and all that with my dad and really kind of studied the game in that regard. Because everything Swagoo said is right? I honestly, this is probably the worst debate ever, in that LeBron is doing things that we have never seen. But I still think that when you set out to play NBA basketball, the bar remains the Larry O'Brien Trophy. And I think it is also,
no doubt.
Again, I mentioned the difference in errors. I wonder, now listen, the camp that thinks LeBron wouldn't have been able to play during Mike's era, they are tripping. Because I think he absolutely would have, because of his body, because of his basketball IQ. It would have been something different, but I think he would have been just fine.
So Marcus Spears is saying LeBron James is the greatest player ever that he's ever seen. And, he's not that young. Marcus Spears to have not seen Michael Jordan, because Michael Jordan is 6 for 6 in the finals, and I can't remember how much LeBron James is, but at the end of the day, I get the fact that he scored all these points. He's a pass guy. He's a pass guy kind of thing, right? And he's got so many assists, so many rebounds. Jordan didn't have those. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I can't seem to put that through my mind that LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan. I would love to hear what you guys think. Please put your comments on the bottom, and subscribe to this channel to get all the premium content as well. But I just want to put it out there saying that LeBron James has lost a lot of finals, and last year he and his squad, the Lakers, didn't make it past the first round, and this year to be lucky to make the playoffs or pass the first round, because they beat Houston last night. That's cool, but and LeBron James created the big three in Miami, and Michael Jordan is 6 for 6 in titles, and that's the biggest accolade, as far as I'm concerned, that anyone can achieve, is the NBA title, right? MVPs and whatnot kind of thing. If Michael Jordan played longer than LeBron James, he probably would have gotten more than 36,000 points. But this debate can go on and on and on and on, 100%. But in my opinion, I've seen both players, and Michael Jordan is clearly number one. Clearly number one. And at the end of the day, it's not even close in my eyes. It's just not. So, like I said, I would love to hear you guys' opinion, and tell me what you guys think on the comment section on why either LeBron James or Michael Jordan is better, or maybe you guys have another person that you think is better or will be better in the future. This is Jag from Jaggy Sports, December 28th, 2021.